shocking report highlighting the vice president's lack of ethics. The vice president, Kamala Harris, is keeping her assets in a tax-advantaged family trust. This is new today. It's a move that appears to violate the very ethics pledge that she and President Biden campaigned on. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Trish Regan Show. I am Trish, and according to these new financial disclosures that we just got in from Kamala Harris, she is a trustee of a family trust that she's had since 2017. The only thing is, according to this family trust, her assets that are in the trust are not reportable. That's according to the filing. See, you see it right there. Assets not reportable. And that's a little bit of a problem because basically what it's doing is obscuring some of the vice president's investments and holdings from the public view, which is pretty inconsistent with what Biden and Harris talked about on the campaign trail. Remember, Joe Biden said he was going to crack down on all those vehicles, those family trusts that politicians like to use once he was in office. In fact, Biden and Harris, they pledged together to work with Congress to, quote, eliminate the trust loopholes in existing financial disclosure law. In fact, I'm quoting from their website directly here, from their campaign website. Biden said that he would, quote, require that any member of his administration who is a beneficiary of a discretionary trust disclose all of its holdings. What do you know? In fact, this is all, as I said, from their own campaign website. So they're violating their own ethics rules with Kamala's family trust. He promised to eliminate tax loopholes like this. Promised. He said he would eliminate the trust loophole in existing financial disclosure law. The Ethics in Government Act requires candidates for federal office and senior executive branch officials to disclose their assets, but candidates and public officials often, his words, not mine, often transfer assets and trusts controlled by family members or close friends, and then disclose just the existence of the trust rather than the assets it holds. Can we go back? I'm going to ask the producer if we can go back to the disclosure that Kamala provided with that family trust that does exactly that, right? It doesn't disclose the assets that the trust holds. This is what they're supposed to be fighting against. This is the loophole that Biden was so angry about, that accused Donald Trump of using and his family members of using. Well, here she is using it herself. So what exactly is in that trust? Well, again, we don't know. We do not know. He wanted to get rid of it, but his own vice president is using it. So let's be clear here. Why would they ever use this? A family trust would be used to hide from the public whatever assets she does or does not have. And let's just go on public records in terms of figuring out what she does have, right? We know that she and her husband used that trust to purchase a luxury condo near DC's Georgetown neighborhood in 2017. The condo was listed for sale for nearly $2 million. And this is also a trust that holds apparently a Los Angeles property estimated to be worth $5.2 million worth of trust. So this is all thanks to public documents, right? The rest, we have no idea. We have no idea because she's buried it in this trust that she promised, along with Joe Biden, to get rid of. You know, we also got some tax documents this week showing that she and her husband earned $1.7 million last year, but they donated just 1.6% of it, of their income, to charity, which actually is significantly below what people with that income level would actually donate on average. So she's cheap. She's cheap too. But you know, don't worry, she's going to raise your taxes. You're going to pay more taxes while she hides her money, apparently in a trust that she promised you would get rid of. This is bad. It really is bad because it seems to confirm what the public already believes, right? That politicians are crooked and they have one set of rules for themselves and a whole other set of rules for everyone else. They make all these promises that they never keep. In this case, this is exactly what's going on. I want to know, is this going to be her undoing? Or maybe it's going to be the border, because she still hasn't been to the border. And now Republicans are looking to restrict all of her travel going forward until she does. You know, maybe there's a reason she got that border assignment. After all, Joe Biden doesn't like her very much. More on that next.
I went down to the border a few weeks ago, saw what was happening there firsthand. Just last week, had the opportunity to question the acting director of ICE. I was incredulous to learn that ICE could not actually track illegal immigrants once they're actually released into this country. So again, it's a priority for me to actually work on securing our border, stopping that crisis. It's a safety and security issue.
You bet it is. 56 days and counting. Kamala Harris still has not visited the U.S.-Mexican border. What has she got against it? Well, one Republican congressperson, you just saw her there, Congressman Hinson, she wants to know, Representative Hinson is introducing a bill to defund Kamala Harris's travel until Kamala Harris decides to visit the border. Here's some more from the representative.
But what you're seeing is the cartels are winning right now. They're smuggling people, they're smuggling drugs, and we do have increased gang activity. It's dangerous, and we need to stop catch and release. We need to make sure that we are returning people to Mexico, and we need to make sure Title 42 stays in place. And then starting construction of that wall again. That stopped right after President Biden took office. And in my mind, those are the things that we can do right now to make sure that we're securing our border, which is imperative to keeping our country safe.
It's like the easy stuff, right? The low-hanging fruit, things that you should do. I mean, hey, if you're in charge of the border, the easy stuff seems to be actually like going to the border and seeing what's going on, right? But she has no interest in that. It's been a couple months. She still hasn't been. And she still hasn't held a press conference on the issue. I predict this will be her downfall. You know that? It will be because, well, and I guess it's rather fitting, huh? I mean, Joe Biden is a politician. And, you know, here's this woman that comes along seemingly out of nowhere. They can't get anybody to vote for her. Remember how disastrous the New Hampshire primary was. Can't get anyone to vote for her, but yet the party likes because she checks all the boxes, right? And so everyone's out there calling her President Harris, even him. And I suspect he might just be getting a little tired of it. You know why? Joe Biden. I know it sometimes seems like he doesn't have much of a memory, but Joe Biden has certainly not forgotten this, remember?
We've also heard, and I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden, I do not believe you are a racist. And I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. Do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America then?
No,
do you agree?
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I opposed.
Well, there was a failure of states to integrate public schools in America. I was part of the second class to integrate Berkeley, California public schools almost 2 decades after Brown v. Board of Education.
Because your city council made that decision. It was a local decision.
So that's where the federal government must step in. That's why we have the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. That's why we need to pass the Equality Act.
Woo! Oh, takedown, right? Ouch. You know who else has not forgotten that whole incident? Mrs. Biden, Jill Biden. She vented, it turns out, 1 week later, apparently on a group call with supporters. This is all according to a report published by Politico. And, well, she had some rather choice words. She said, and I quote, "With what he cares about, what he fights for, what he's committed to, you get up there and call him a racist without basis? Go F." You can figure out the rest yourself. Don't mess with the wife, especially a political wife. Anyway, the border assignment, I think it's payback. I think Joe knows exactly what he's doing, and he really doesn't like this woman so much. She is a party pick. You know, and Kamala, think about it. She's damned if she does. She's damned if she doesn't. Because if she's successful and she limits the number of people that are able to come into the country, well, then somehow she's doing exactly the opposite of what AOC and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and the squad and everybody else on the extreme left part of the party wants her to do. And she makes conservatives happy, which wouldn't be good. So if she's successful in actually reducing the border problem, she's actually hurting herself. And this, I suspect, is why she's been saying from the beginning, the very beginning, that she really doesn't have any plans to go.
Do you plan to visit the border?
Not today, but I have before, and I'm sure I will again.
Yeah, you know, maybe in 2020 28? I don't know. Clearly, she's got no intention of going. She has no intention of doing anything. And you know what? Americans lose out. And Mexicans lose out. And Guatemalans lose out. And anybody who's trying to come here, who's sending their child alone with coyotes to come here, those kids lose out. Those families lose out. Kamala needs to do her job. I realize she checked all those boxes and that's why she has the gig. But you know what? Sometimes when you're vice president, you actually gotta work. You actually gotta do something. Imagine Joe's actually putting her in charge of a project which she really doesn't want. Jill Biden may get the last laugh on this one. Coming up, everyone, Biden isn't winning any popularity contest himself. Certainly not with the Coast Guard anyway. Watch today as he lifted a line from Reagan's speech without the same, shall we say, result. That's next. President Biden, gave the commencement address to the Coast Guard Academy this weekend. Let's just say it didn't go so well. Right? What's interesting, and I'm going to show you in a second, is that he actually lifted his lines. And I'm being generous, you know that, by saying lifted, given his history of lifting lines. It actually cost him his chance at the presidency back in 1988. Anyway, he lifted them from a Reagan speech and gave it to the same crowd, the Coast Guard. I want you to see Ronald Reagan first. I want you to see President Reagan, same age, by the way, as Joe at the time, and he's speaking to the Coast Guard Academy. Watch.
My Coast Guard aides have been excellent. One of them taught me that, and I quote, "The Coast Guard is that hard nucleus about which the Navy forms in time of war."
They like that, don't they? Big reaction. Now, you ready? Here's President Biden.
I can only assume that you will enjoy educating your family about how the Coast Guard is, quote, "the hard nucleus around the Navy forms in times of war." You're a really dull class. I mean, come on, man. Is the sun getting to you? I would think you'd have an opportunity when I say that about the Navy to clap, but being here together.
Ooh, getting a little testy. It seems Joe Biden's a little angry that he doesn't get the same reaction that Ronald Reagan got. So then he scolds them. And you might, he got a little bit of a laugh. You might scold them and say, hey, you guys are kind of a dull bunch, and then move on. But no, he doubles down. Look, I got to get back to the lifting of the Reagan line here, because he seems to make a habit of that, right? It's like his MO. I mean, don't forget, as I said earlier, he had to drop out of the 1988 presidential campaign amid news that he had lifted phrases and mannerisms even from a British Labour Party politician while making closing remarks at a debate. I want you to see this. Okay, it was put together by the Washington Post, and it's kind of funny.
And I started thinking as I was coming over here, why is it that Joe Biden is the first in his family ever to go to a university?
Why am I the first Kinnick in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Glenys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
Yeah, I guess he scours around for the best material. That became a big deal, because examples soon surfaced of Joe Biden using material from other politicians without any kind of attribution. And he eventually had to acknowledge that he had also been accused of plagiarism in law school. To make matters worse, a video emerged of Biden exaggerating his academic record while speaking pretty angrily to a voter in my home state, live free or die, New Hampshire. Watch.
Question: what law school did you attend, and where did you place in that class? And the other question is, could you quickly? I think
I probably have a much higher IQ than you do. I suspect. Graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits. Only need 123 credits, and I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like, Frank.
Who says that? Who would ever say, let alone if you're running for office, I'd be delighted to sit down and compare my IQ to yours any day of the week? Come on. He's got kind of a mean streak in him. It's evident. It was evident there at the Coast Guard. it was evident in 1988 when I was just a little kid back in New Hampshire. You know what? I got a little mean streak in me too. I'm going to point out that it wasn't a full scholarship, Joe. It was $800 for a $1,600 tuition bill. And you know what? He graduated 76, number 76 out of 85, bottom of the barrel. I'm betting that New Hampshire voter's IQ is much higher than Joe Biden's. Coming up next, why is BLM and Rashida Tlaib trying to call the U.S. policy shots on the Israel-Gaza conflict? Their behavior is destructive, and they are actually stoking the flames of anti-Semitism right here in the U.S. We saw the evidence in L.A. overnight. Welcome back, everyone. I wanted to show you some video right now. I wanted to show you some videos, some up-close videos, some really horrible stuff of, it was actually pretty graphic. There was some kicking and screaming and lots of name-calling out at a restaurant, a sushi restaurant in LA last night, but I can't show it to you now because it's been taken down off of the internet. It's actually important, though, that you see it, so I'm a little disappointed in that. We're all adults here, and we ought to be able to talk about these issues because this is unacceptable. Basically, you had some very anti-Semitic comments that were made, again, at this restaurant. We do have some video that we can show you that was out on the local TV station, so I want to go to that right now. You can see some of the events there unfolding last night. It was an attack on diners outside, seated outside this sushi restaurant, and people were shouting slogans against Israel. It's being investigated, as we speak, by Los Angeles police as an anti-Semitic hate crime. And this is tough stuff. I mean, this is the video I can show you. It captured that attack. It had basically like a caravan of cars going by, and people were flying Palestinian flags and yelling, "F you, you guys should be ashamed of yourself," as they drove by the people eating outside at the restaurant. And it's all coming, of course, as we see this conflict between Israel and Hamas getting worse and worse. Hamas, I want to point out, they started this violent conflict by firing on Israel. Israel retaliated. By the way, they had their Iron Dome, which is just amazing. They were able to, basically, protect themselves against any of those rockets that were coming into Israel. But some leftist politicians, well, they don't like Israel. They don't like Israel, period, including people like Rashida Tlaib, who are pretty furious right now, want the president to force Israel to stop defending itself against Hamas. You can actually hear her, we've got some video of her going up to the president on the tarmac the other day at the airport and telling him, well, he needs to respond effectively in favor of the Palestinians. Joe Biden responded, addressing the whole incident like this.
And Rashid Tlaib, where's Rashid? I tell you what, Rashid, I want to say to you that I admire your intellect, I admire your passion, and I admire your concern for so many other people. And it's from my heart, I pray that your grandmom and family are well. I promise you I'm going to do everything to see that they are on the West Bank. You're a fighter, and God, thank you for being a fighter.
Bit of a CYA move there for Joe Biden as he tries to quell some of the concern and the fury on the left. Talking about fury, you know who else has this? The Black Lives Matter movement. They're out there, surprise, surprise, tweeting their support of the Palestinians. We showcased this actually on my Facebook page. I want you to see it right here. By the way, you can communicate directly with me on Facebook in the private group, in the private page, Trish Regan's private page. But here we are, Black Lives Matter writing that it stands in solidarity with Palestinians. We are a movement committed to ending settler colonialism in all forms and will continue to advocate for Palestinian liberation. Always have and always will be free Palestine. Oh, so what do you think happened? Joe Biden called Netanyahu, demanded that Israel de-escalate, stop attacking Gaza, because somehow Israel's at fault. Israel is attacking, even though those in Gaza, backed by Hamas, which is backed by Iran, not exactly one of our friends, and Hamas is a known terror group, well, they were the ones that sent those rockets into Israel first, but somehow everybody just forgets that. It seems that he's taking a side in this, in part for political reasons. And he's not allowing or wanting to allow Israel to protect itself. That's pretty messed up. Think about it. Think about what's going on there. What would you do? As Netanyahu said just the other day on Face the Nation, what would you do if these people were coming after you? It's a conflict that is not going away, obviously, anytime soon, but it's a conflict that we need to show some leadership on. We need to be the United States of America, aligned with our ally, Israel, as we always have been and should always be. Anyway, I want to remind you, don't forget to go to trishaintel.com. We have all your top stories there. And go to my Facebook page. You can go to the private page, of course, communicate directly with me. Thank you so much for watching. Have a terrific weekend, everyone. And remember, because these words have new significance in this environment, live free or die. I'll see you next week.